Yeah, but welcome everybody who's here. It's good to see that we have a pretty good turnout today. We'll be starting in just a few minutes. So what is Access Point? This is summer redesign. So we're doing a collaborative effort with Access Point, and here's the mission statement: creation of a welcoming and supportive experience for all students through design and creation of vibrant and engaging spaces for students, reinforcing UPO to provide transformative learning experiences and establish new communities of practice while building upon and connecting with existing ones. To boil all that down, right? So this is where you go for experiences, experiential learning, right? Things that you're going to do. Access Point is located at 3300 DCL, and it contains Granger first year experience, undergraduate research. That's Dr. Manuel on here, Natasha, and then engineering career services, which I'm representing today. International programs in engineering, represented today by Hannah Dougherty and Erica Brewer. And city scholars. So we don't have a representative on, but Charles and Brenna, if you're interested in city scholars, their information's on the slide, and we'll be sending the slides out or information so that you will be able to contact them if you want more information. So, all right. So today on the agenda, we'll be going over I'll go ahead and take the first part, and we'll be going over some career competencies, talking about what it is you want to talk about, right? So this is what are you going to do for the summer? So sometimes your first experience isn't the one that you planned, but that's okay. There's plenty of other things available to you. And when you look at it through the eyes of career services, the eyes of what are you going to do the rest of your life, right? How do you talk about your experiences? What's there? So that career competencies piece. We'll talk about alternate paths that you can take, other things you might do for the summer if your first choice just doesn't happen for whatever reason, right? And then with IPENG is going to take over, and they're one of the alternative choices. They may be your first choice, right? Some of these things. So we don't know what your first choice or your alternative is, but we'll talk about that. Undergraduate research will then have the next section. And finally, we'll talk about some of the next steps, sort of how you talk about these things going forward, regardless. So if you're talking to recruiters and things like that, applying for grad school even, how you'll want to talk about that in the future. All right. So back to the first point, career competencies. We often call this career readiness skills or career readiness. And these are the things that you're really looking at gaining. So when you do some experiential learning, there's of course your technical things that you can get in there, those types of things, and you recognize the ability to pick up a new skill, whether it's a coding skill or some sort of physical technical skill in technology or something like that. But sometimes you're not thinking about all of those other things that you need to be able to go to work and to get along with other people, those types of things, right? And what employers look for and what people look for in candidates and for people to fill positions. So critical thinking, obviously in engineering, right? Can I solve problems? How well can I communicate with others? That's very important no matter what you're doing. You have to be able to communicate your ideas, and you want to avoid any miscommunications, right? And so, being able to talk about that, and that can come into play whatever you're doing, whether it's a virtual global experience like that we'll be talking about later on, or whether it's having an internship or a part-time job, right? Digital technology, how comfortable you are with using. So talking about the different things you've done. It doesn't have to be the coding. It could be some sort of productivity software that's relevant, right? Leadership, you've demonstrated an ability to lead others, take the initiative, those types of things, start your own projects. So we'll talk about that a little bit too. Work ethic, being capable, actually, showing up on time to things. That's a good thing to be able to learn and to talk about and to go with. A lot of you, I'm sure, already have that one down. Career management, being able to talk about your experiences. So that's recognizing. That's what some of this is about, recognizing how all this goes together. And then finally, global fluency, which I'm sure IPENG will also have a lot to talk about, right? Being open and inclusive. Call this also intercultural fluency. And so just being able to work with a wide variety of different people from different groups and, bring all these ideas together. And so that's something, these are all things employers look for. This comes from research done through surveys by NACE, National Association of Colleges Employers. And time again, these are the categories, these are what make the difference to employers, these types of skills. And so we'll be talking about how they interplay at the end here. Okay, next. So some alternate options, right? So part of the reason for this is if you're thinking I might not get an internship, right? What are some other things I can do this summer? Now, I wouldn't give up just yet if you do really have a target of an internship. There's still some openings. There's still some things that you might be able to find. Not everybody's done interviewing, so I don't say panic, but at the same time, have some ideas. What are some other things I might do, right? And there's some deadlines for some of these other programs you might want to apply to as well. So have those in mind and take a look at some of these because they are valued. They're every bit as valuable in a lot of cases as an internship, right? But campus and community jobs, that's something that you might do. So there's a link there to the Career Center website where you can look at what kind of jobs are available on campus and within the community there. You can build skill sets, LinkedIn Learning. You all have access to LinkedIn Learning with your Illinois email, right? And so you can set up an account there and you can learn, gain a lot of skills there, right? Watching videos and going through some of those course programs. Coursera is another option for that. There's a lot of free courses, right? So you could spend some time doing those things, get some ideas on what you want to work on. Micro internships, this is somewhat of a new thing. Company called Parker Dewey that we partner with, and it's a third party, right? So it's available. You can get on our tools and resources page or follow the link that you'll get from the slides here to Parker Dewey. And what that is really paid small projects that you can apply to. So they're not full-length internships. They're just small projects. You find something that you can do on there, you apply to it, and then it might be a week or 2 weeks. It might take you 20 hours to finish, but it's with a real company, something that you can get done, get paid for. That's kind of nice. And gain some of that experience that you can talk about those career competencies with. Personal projects. A lot of recruiters have iterated us in different things, different events that we've been in with them over the past several months, right? That these are things that impress them. A lot of students, when thrown into quarantine and things like that, didn't just sit on their hands and do nothing, right? They went ahead and said, well, I've got this time on my hands, so I'm going to go ahead and do some project. And so these projects are actually pretty impressive. So, get a group together, people that you have a common interest with, start your own project. That shows some of that initiative, some of that leadership as well. And so you can take those things in and definitely put that on a resume as well. IPENG, again, that's International Programs in Engineering. They're going to talk in depth, so I'm not going to say much about that one because you're going to hear quite a bit about what opportunities are there. And Undergraduate Research, Tasha is going to talk about that, and that's a big one here at the university, right? So we're, a research institution, and so there's plenty of things you can do, and I was surprised to find out how many ways there are to plug into that. So that's something that she'll talk about later on. First, I want Dr. Laura Heberts on, and she's going to talk a little bit about another option, working summer camps. So that's something else you can do, right? Help out with that. That's teaching, communications, all of those things. So let's go ahead and have Laura take over.
So I just wanted to take a minute to let you know about this alternative for your summer that you should think about. If you are interested in if you are interested in empowering middle and high school students to see themselves as the future of STEM, then you might consider taking a summer job working with the Worldwide Youth in Science and Engineering program. We have about 10 camps that are running this summer. They're all virtual. And we tried this virtual thing last summer, and it was a huge success because we really focused on having counselors to work with small groups and really build community. So you are working on career competencies when you are helping to facilitate a STEM camp. And so we are looking for counselors who can work with small groups and build community. And we're also looking for lab assistants who have an interest in a particular content area that is being presented in the camp, who can help out during the day for technical assistance as the students are working through their projects. So there's a QR code here. I'll dump a few links here in the chat, but we welcome you to apply. We're accepting applications through March 19th. There are also a lot of other summer camps going on here on campus too. So if you want to spread your wings even further, the summer Illinois math camps are looking for folks to work, and there's music camps on campus. So take a look at the job postings that are out there, and think about a job impacting younger people. I'm sure that a lot of you are here because you were impacted by someone who reached back to help along the way. So this is a great opportunity and would love to have you on the team. Thanks.
So now I'm Hannah, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can do through international programs in engineering. I'll also say this doesn't mean just summer, but something that if you are considering it, you need to kind of plan for it. This is a screenshot from our website. Erica, if you could drop the link in. The first one I'll talk about is virtual global internships, projects, and research. This has been pretty big so far for us on campus. We now have opportunities anywhere from Brazil to South Africa. We're currently working on getting some in Asia, just signed a contract with India. Global classrooms is not something we're doing for the summer, but as you consider fall registration, these are project-based classes where you either work with students in another country on a final project, or you're going to work with a local community. Depending on your major, there's some options in the College of ACES, like they have some pre-med related, there's lots of different stuff going on there. And more importantly, it's a way to engage globally while not necessarily leaving your home or being able to do study abroad. And then finally, we have virtual exchange. We have a few students on the James Scholar in engineering who are doing this currently with one of our partners in Europe. But it's still, campus hasn't decided, but we may have this for the fall as well if you are an upperclassman who wants an exchange experience before you go. Next slide, please. These are some of the testimonials from students who have worked with people so far. So Jonah worked with VAC, or VA Corps, which is located in South Africa, and he worked on satellites through a company called Astrophica. They work closely with the South African version of NASA. Emily Julian did a internship with, I believe, Litro de Luz and Campus B in Brazil. It was a group project, 4 to 6 students. They also had cultural components with both of these. Our deadline to apply to these are March 15th, and their scholarships to offset everything. Our goal is to get students to go for basically nothing. And then if you're interested in doing one in the fall, that deadline is June 15th. We've been working with ECS a lot to talk about how to talk to employers and recruiters about how you can leverage one of these experiences, and global competency is a big one. Working in different time zones, proving that you can work remote in a job setting. And I think the biggest thing that most students have given me feedback on is that this is not like an American internship. It's more like a first job. Like, they dump you right into the project. They will offer you support, but they kind of expect you to be kind of free thinking. They're not going to tell you what to do. Which, if that's what you want, that's great. Next slide, please. So far, the students who have gone, a lot of engineers have done it. What's interesting is that we have more men participating in these virtual internships, and usually we actually have the least amount of men participate in traditional study abroad, so that's really great. And then these are just some of the countries that we are working in. Not on here is our India agreement, and we have a United Nations Sustainable Development Goals one where they're going to work with Brazil, South Africa, a European center, and I believe Thailand. And that's going to run for 8 weeks over the summer. If that interests you, next slide, please. These are some of the lists of opportunities. You can see these in My Study Abroad. Erica, if you'll drop that link into the chat, please. It's not comprehensive. There are a few others because, like I said, just this week, they're adding a few more. So if you run, you know, you're at that place, as John said, and you're looking for an alternative, this could be one pathway if that interests you. Thank you. And then these are just the global classrooms I was talking about. I wanted to show this slide in case you're thinking about it. A big one is our engineering for disaster resilience, and that you can get, depending on your major in engineering, you can get technical credit or actual major credit. Ag engineers and civil engineer, I think specifically can, and it's disaster relief in Puerto Rico. In a good year, when we resume faculty led, which may not be till winter break 2022 to 2023 at the earliest, they actually go to Puerto Rico. So that's really cool. The other one is context and international interventions. It's getting approved by campus to be, I think, a campus-wide technical elective as well, and it's something else. So if you're looking for a way to engage, those two classes would be great, open to any major. Some of the others are more restricted. ACE 499 is good as well. Sierra Leone, working with community. University of Illinois helped found this university called Najala in Sierra Leone. And so that's another great opportunity. But some of these satisfy liberal ed, some satisfy language, bunch of different stuff there. Next slide, please. And then finally, until this Friday, we're promoting a new program called Global Engineering Ambassadors. Basically, this is different than the Engineering Ambassador Program. We are working with incoming exchange students to the University of Illinois. Our ZJUI students who are located in China, they're going to be working with them. We're going to do cultural intelligence training, EDI, which is equity, diversity, and inclusion training, and focus more on how to be a global citizen and creating cultural events and stuff like that to support these students and yourselves. It's fun. Next slide, please. Here is the deadline, 11:59 on Friday. If this interests you, feel free to apply. You will have to develop or attend or maybe even speak, depending on how many students come, at our incoming orientation in the fall. So we have a second 8-week class then, so you can get credit, and most work will be done in class during that block time. And then the last thing I want to say, if you go to the next slide, is a lot of stuff we have been partnering with in IPENG is the Illinois Leadership Center. As John was mentioning, skills you can develop. You can do these workshops. They have several online training, like how to work in a virtual team, inclusive conversations, one about human dignity, and the one we really like is the global learning and leadership. These are free to Illinois students. You pay for it, so capitalize on it if it's something you want, and you can get a certificate. There's also a hyperlink to the CITL resources on how to work virtually and work in a virtual space. And then finally, I don't have a slide for it, but we do have a program in Puerto Rico that's called a, oh my gosh, REU, Research Education. Natasha, can you correct me there?
Research experiences for undergraduates.
Yep, research experiences for undergraduates. If you're interested in that, because Tasha will talk more, I think, about those things in a minute. That's our Puerto Rico class. We're not sure on the status if it will get to go or not, but they are taking applications at this time. It might be virtual. But email ipeng@illinois.edu if you're interested in that. Otherwise, I think it's Tasha's turn to talk about undergraduate research.
Thank you, Hannah. So I'm going to just go through 3 points today, which are how to get involved in research, research credit or pay, and go through a couple of research opportunities. So I'm Tasha Mamaril. I'm the Associate Director for Undergraduate Research in the Granger College of Engineering. So if you're interested in participating in undergraduate research, there are 3 ways that you can get into research. So research at Illinois is defined sort of like an experiential learning experience, and it is learning through inquiry. So the first case where you can get involved in research is that you as an undergrad will be working collaboratively with a faculty member on a faculty determined project. So most of our faculty have their research groups. And in these research groups, they have this big research agenda. And there are smaller projects for every research group. And so as an undergrad researcher, you're going to work on your own project, which is a piece of a greater project. Now, this can be for credit or for pay. When we say for credit, you'll be registering for independent study courses, and it could be 1 to 3 credit hours. Or if the faculty has funding to provide you with an hourly pay, you can also be given an undergrad assistant position where they could pay you certain amounts during the semesters or the summer, depending on the number of hours you work per week. Okay. The second case when you can get involved in undergraduate research is as a research assistant. So not necessarily having your own project, but what they're doing is they're training you to use equipment, to do experimental setups. Maybe that you'll be helping a graduate mentor or a postdoc on a project to do data analysis or setting up equipment. So these are the kind of tasks that they would like for you to learn so that they can build on these and maybe transition into more complex tasks in the future, where eventually you have to work on a research project if that is one of the things that you'd like to do in the future. So again, this could be for research credit or for pay. And it could be just like a number of hours per week compared to like case one, where you'd think, it could start from 6 to 8 hours to 12 hours per week. Case two could be a regular number of hours throughout the semester or throughout the summer, because there's no project really, but you're working on these specific tasks and building on your background knowledge. Now, the third case is when you have your own idea and you can select a project and are basically looking for a research mentor to guide you, to supervise you and instruct you on this project. And so most of the people who end up doing their own projects do senior thesis in the end, in your senior year. So this could be something that you'd be interested in doing if you already have an idea. And again, that could be more for independent study credits if you're a junior, and then possibly for senior thesis credits when you become a senior at Illinois. Okay. So first thing that I always ask students when they meet with me regarding undergraduate research is, what are you interested in doing research on? So we have various resources to share with you. One, of course, would be the departmental websites. And then we also have the research center websites. There's the Coordinated Science Lab, which is just after Newark, right? And then you have the Cancer Center at Illinois, which is also housed at Beckman, I believe. And then there's the Institute of Genomic Biology, which is down on the South Quad. And then there is the Illinois Quantum Information Science and Technology Center. So these are just a variety of research centers, in addition to the National Center for Supercomputing Applications, that are offering undergraduate research opportunities throughout the year, whether you work with a faculty member affiliated with these centers or if they have a program. Now, I have to say this from the get-go. You don't have to be part of an undergraduate research program to do research. So case one, case two, case three earlier, you can do research with the faculty directly without being part of a specific program. Okay, just keep that in mind. So if you're willing to put some effort right now to look for opportunities where to start, we have the QR code in the center. That's for the website, the Granger Engineering Undergraduate Research website, and you'll be led to a landing page which shares information about how many students are doing research. And at this point, we are at 45% of our students actually participate in some form of research on and off campus before they graduate. So that's a very good statistic. It's just amazing how many opportunities are available out there that our undergraduate students are taking advantage of. So if you want to find out some tips and strategies on how to get involved in research, please visit that website. Just scan that QR code. And if you want more details, specifically if you already have a topic or you're exploring topics, we do have the research faculty matrices. This would show you the primary areas of research in various departments and who among these faculty members in the departments would actually be focused on that particular area. So you can also scan that QR code and you'll be led to a page, and each department has its own matrix. So this is an example on the right. So the topmost row will give you those primary research areas, and the rightmost column would be the names of the faculty in those particular departments. So if you can see the cells there, there are different colors, they're coded so that it's easier for you. You don't have to go through each and every faculty member's web page. You can just get a snapshot of who's doing what and where, and shortlist maybe 3 to 5 professors. You can reach out to professors, you can reach out to graduate students, to postdocs, and even to undergraduate students who are already involved in research in these groups that are out there. So specifically, you know, this is just a tool, okay? You still have to do your homework in terms of looking at what research projects they have currently. So it is a way for you to discover the primary areas of research for sure, see who's doing research in those areas, and then you can also check the research matrices in other departments. So if you're in CS, don't feel like you're only in CS, you're just gonna be restricted to looking for opportunities in CS, because you never know. There might be something in ECE, in MATSE, BioE. So it depends on what your research area of interest would be. So feel free to explore those various research matrices on the website. Also, since we have some opportunities that come up in the summer, especially if they're off campus, typically, just for info, I know some of the deadlines have passed, but typically the calls for applications come out late in the fall, somewhat sometime November or early December. So look out for those announcements. We do send out the information regarding these opportunities on the undergraduate research newsletter, which comes out Sundays before noon. And we also post their opportunities for research internships on and off campus. So typically for the regular semesters, if you're looking for research opportunities, whether in a program or not as part of a program, they would require at least 10 hours per week, I would say max. For some who are really doing advanced work, they could even go up to 15, but no more than that. Sometimes you start slow with just like 4 hours per week, and then you ramp up so that you could be more productive, or you can contribute more to the research. In the summer, you have those full-time positions, which are 30 to 40 hours per week. Most often than not, they are paid internships, research internships. And there are also opportunities to do part-time research internships or research experiences, which would be 15 to 20 hours per week. Now, Hannah mentioned about REUs, or research experiences for undergraduates. So those opportunities, which are federally funded usually by the National Science Foundation or NIH, or even our own departments here on campus, they would provide stipends, especially for those off-campus opportunities. They will always provide some sort of support for you to avail of these opportunities in other institutions. So if you're interested in looking for summer research specifically, start checking out our information on REUs as early as November, I would say. Most deadlines, the earliest we've had this year was January 1st, but there are a couple of those that even continue up to now until like March 31st, I would say. Some opportunities have been posted on the newsletter, on the Granger Digest, and at the GSP, or Granger Student Portal, specifically for members in the undergraduate research group. So if you have any questions, or you'd like to meet with me one-on-one, I would be happy to meet with you. I'm just going to drop my email in the chat box later on, but know that there are opportunities for you to do research on campus, off campus. That means anywhere in the United States, as well as in the world, in other countries. So IPENG, and undergraduate research, we have a program called the Global Research Scholars, and we have partnered with 4 institutions abroad: NUS, TUD, TUM, and EPFL. Okay, so again, if you're interested in talking more about this one-on-one, please feel free to reach out. I will just drop my email in a few minutes. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so back to me now. Yeah, so that's a lot of information. A lot of information on these slides today. So yeah, very good experiences and things. I hope you guys are taking notes. So we'll be sending out the slides if you've got your net ID in the chat. So you want to make sure and get that in there so that you can get the slides and take advantage of all this information that's coming your way today. But so what does it all mean? What we're looking at is how we talk about our experiences, right? These are all different options for experiences. And I'm going to share my screen now and take us to a site. If this works, pardon me. Just a second. There we go. All right, take us to the site. So careerservices.illinois.edu. And this career services site, again, it's not ECS. This is career services all over. But we're talking about those career competencies, right? How you talk about them. The way you say things makes a lot of difference. So what you've done, you may think, oh, this has nothing to do with my major, what I just did here. It's just not valuable, which is not the case. Those career competencies are what we also call transferable skills. They're skills that you can do in one thing and they transfer to something else, right? And so, yeah, definitely how you talk about it makes a difference to recruiters. And so this website here goes through a lot of that. Has a little more in-depth definition of each of the competencies. If you're kind of wondering, I'm not 100% sure what they mean when they just say work ethic, right? So you can come on here and get a few more details. I'm not going to go into that. We have a whole nother presentation about that. So, with wanting to get to the question and answer, because I'm sure some of you guys have some questions about these programs too. But one of the really valuable things about this site is this Your Experiences page. So if you're wondering, how do I talk about it, right? So you come here and we've talked about some of those career competencies and what they are, and you've looked in a little more in depth into some of those things. And you start looking, okay, but what do I really want to put? First off, you can always make an appointment with ECS and we can go over your resume, give you some ideas, talk about how to do that, on a one-on-one personal basis. Just go on into Handshake and make an appointment with one of the career advisors at ECS for those types of things as well. So we're willing to do that, no problem. But this site is a great way to get some examples, and everybody wants samples and wants examples, right, for things you can do. And if you take a look, you'll notice that some of these relate to some of the things we've talked about, working in a research lab, right? And so when you click on these things, you can get some examples of how to talk about it and what competencies they relate to, right? So critical thinking, executed various molecular biology procedures, including DNA extraction, polymerase chain reaction. I can't pronounce all of these words. What is going on here? But anyway, so, you get these ideas and things that you can do here. Coached and trained 3 new lab assistants, right? So you don't think about, oh, research assistant, that's not going to really go well or translate well to what I might do working on a corporate team. Sure it will. Coaching and training new trainees, right? That's going to go right into there. So, that's why that's a transferable skill. Recorded a total of over 5,000 points of data, right? So you're talking about work ethic and kind of showing the scope of your project there. So those types of things. Again, I'm not going to click on every one of these experiences, but just a couple to give you an idea. And you can come to this site and take a look at them. Think about, okay, how can I talk about experiences? And then you recognize, oh, so many different things are valuable. And so much of it is about, okay, how do I want to spend my time? How's it going to help me learn? What are some of the things I'm going to get out of it? Because it's personal growth too, right? It's not all about just what you can tell a recruiter. It's about what it means to you as well. And so you want to consider that as well. But even working a part-time job, you love golf, and so you work as a golf caddy over the summer, right? And now you're thinking, how do I relate that going forward to try and get an internship maybe next summer, right? And here you go, right? I had a lot of work that I had to do. I had to advise club use for over 300 country club members. That's pretty good scope, pretty good work ethic, right? Utilize 3 separate golfing specific apps, that's digital technology, to assist in the development of player skills. Partnered with diverse clients to ensure high performance games of golf. So different people do different things, right? And so you see how these are transferable. And then on down, even how you would talk about that in a recruiter one-on-one situations. So if you get a chance to sit down with somebody, more conversational, those top marks are kind of like bullet points that you might put on a resume. And then this is more something someone might say in more of an interview situation, right? So you're telling a story about what you did, or you're sitting down with a recruiter. Oh yeah, I use this new GPS app. To talk about your digital technology, those kinds of things. And you want to be able to communicate things. You're showing your skills when you can communicate, right? Because that's another one of the skills, communications. So just wanted to share this site. I feel like it's very valuable if you're looking for, how do I say this? What are the things that I say? How can I show those career competencies that are very important to be able to get across to employers and get them to recognize that. So a few years from now, or maybe next year, or whenever it is for you. I don't know what year everyone is on this particular workshop, but when you're actually out there looking to enter the full-time working world, these things are going to come in very handy for you to be able to talk about.